Namaskar, good evening. You're watching Nation Wants to Know and I am Swati Joshi. India has retaliated, India has responded, and India has hit not just the terror hubs and terror dens in Pakistan but also punished Pakistan's misadventure. Let me first get you the top updates that we're getting on Operation Sindoor. First up, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to address the nation at 8 p.m. tonight, and this is Prime Minister's first address post Operation Sindoor. Now, India-Pak DGMO level talks took place, and in round one, and this is what our forces are confirming, Malir Cant in Karachi was hit, and we're also given to understand, as far as the reports on nuclear base being hit in Kirana Hills, that has been denied by our forces. Operation Sindoor, the Indian Air Force was able to strike 100 kilometers deep inside Pakistan. This is what has transpired so far. Prime Minister to address the nation at 8 p.m. DGMO level. Round one talks have concluded, and there are other details in terms of what India has been able to achieve during Operation Sindoor. And perhaps Prime Minister will be talking about the same. Let's get you more details on the biggest update that we're getting for you. The Prime Minister's address, which will take place at 8 p.m., which is just an hour from now. And this is notably the first address by PM since the ceasefire that was announced after 4 days of hostilities from Pakistan following Operation Sindoor. Let's also listen in to what the Prime Minister has said, his roaring remarks after the Pahalgam terrorist attack. Remember, in an unforgiving declaration from Bihar, Prime Minister warned Pakistan to be ready for its worst nightmare. And in clear words, the Prime Minister said, "Mitti mein mila denge."
अब आतंकियों की बची खुची जमीन को भी मिट्टी में मिलाने का समय आ गया है और इस हमले की साजिश रचने वालों को उनकी कल्पना से भी बड़ी सजा मिलेगी। सजा मिलकर के रहेगी। 140 करोड़ भारतीयों की इच्छा शक्ति अब आतंकी आकाओं की कमर तोड़ कर रहेगी। I say to the whole world, India will identify, track and punish every terrorist and their backers. We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism.
Let's open up the debate. Let's go across to the guests on the panel. We have Captain Yashika Hatwal Tyagi, Kargil war veteran. Lieutenant General KJ Singh, former Western Army commander, joins us, along with Wing Commander Vaishnavi Tokekar, defense expert. We have former diplomat Ashok Sajjanhar on the broadcast. We also have Captain Alok Bansal, Director, India Foundation. Good evening to all of you. I first want to come to you, Ashok Sajjanhar ji. This is Prime Minister's first address since Operation Sindoor. The entire nation is waiting to hear from the PM. Of course, we're getting details of what we were able to hit, what we've been able to strike deep inside Pakistan. But what the Prime Minister has to say, very significant. The nation wants to know what the leadership wants to tell the people of this country.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on your show. You're very right. You know, we've been getting all these reports from our defense officers, valiant defense officers, DGMO yesterday, today, etc. We've been getting these reports from our Foreign Secretary and the two lady officers, Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh. They have been briefing the whole nation, the whole country, the whole world, in fact. They have been telling what India has been able to do in Operation Sindoor. And I think that all that they have said is enough to make everyone proud. But I think hearing from the Prime Minister is something different, something special. Of course, you know, whatever we have heard from our officers, that is authentic, that is genuine, because, you know, there is so much of misinformation, disinformation and fake news that is going around not only in the country, but in the whole world it is going around. And so I'm sure there are people who might be thinking what to believe. And, particularly as far as the United States is concerned, we've been getting so many reports of, such propaganda, that a war that has been launched by Pakistan. And people must be wondering as to what is the factual position. So I think hearing from the Prime Minister will be something very, very special, and the country is waiting. In fact, the world is waiting to hear from him. Both, I think it will give a direction as to what has transpired since 22nd April, since 7th of May, and what is the way forward. So I think that is going to be very important.
Absolutely. The sentiment was one. We stood as a nation, Captain Tyagi, supporting the government, supporting our armed forces. And in fact, in the chain of reactions that we played out from the Prime Minister after Pahalgam, the Prime Minister did say that 140 crore ke jo janata is desh ki, Bharatiya jo hai, they want to give a befitting response. And he understands the mood of the nation, he understands the pulse of the people. So like I said, while we're getting these details about the military operations, we gave our support to the political leadership. So it will be extremely important to hear from the Prime Minister what he has to say.
Jai Hind. The day Prime Minister spoke in Madhubani that we are going to identify, trace and punish not just the terrorists but their backers. So the terms of reference, the rules of the game and the targets were identified and told to Indian armed forces, and Indian armed forces have performed. And how? We have met the objective. And not just this, a very significant move has taken place in this whole Operation Sindoor, how it has panned out. Pakistan knows very clearly that we are committed to track the terrorists and hit them. And not just this, we know the coordinates, we know where are the Pakistani assets. May it be their Air Force assets, may it be their nuclear assets. And so that thing in their mind is going to haunt them forever, that now India has made a vow that we are in a state of war. Anything is not going to be given only for a Kadi Ninda, or we are not just going to dismiss it by saying, oh, we so condemn it. No, this India is very, very different. We are going to track and we are going to punish and we are going to get inside your homes and we are going to pinpoint precision-wise attack where it is going to hurt you the most.
Absolutely.
You see, 20% of, as per the news, almost 20% of Pakistan Air Force's assets are non-operational as we speak. So getting inside a nuclear powered state, so to speak, and do this kind of unthinkable that has never happened in the globe before,
Absolutely.
I think sends a very clear message, not just to our errant neighboring country, but to the world at large, that what a matured, responsible democracy can do. We have all the wherewithals, but we also know where to stop and where to draw the line and where to take a step back, think and go out again.
Absolutely. Like a mature democracy, having the most professional, military, mature approach, we decided to hit the terror dens, we decided to hit the terror hubs. We identified, we tracked and we punished the terrorists. Now the Pakistani military decided to engage with us. They decided to act on behalf of the terrorists, which is a pity, which is unfortunate for any country. And then we identified, tracked and pounded the military installations of Pakistan because they first decided to try and strike ours. Let's also take a look at what has transpired in the DGMO level talks in round 1. This is what has happened in terms of the message that has been sent across. Stop firing along the line of control. We are picking all this up through our sources. This is what we are getting for you, the message that was sent across. Stop targeting Indian civilians, because remember, while we were targeting the terrorists, Pakistan was attacking our civilians. Stop sending drones across the border. Remember the swarm of drones that came in? Stop infiltration along the border, because even during the operation, there was an attempt of infiltration and 7 terrorists were gunned down by the BSF. These are the messages that have been sent across to the Pakistani side through their DGMO. We have some breaking inputs lined up as well. Let's take a look at what is happening at the moment. And this is the latest, the inside track of the DGMO level talks that we are getting for you. So what all was discussed? No targeting of civilians, no firing, no drone intrusion. We just were breaking down the details here on the big screen. Zero tolerance for intrusion. In the joint briefing as well, our officials have made it clear that there is going to be retaliation and that we are ready for our next mission if needed. Rishabh is getting us more details. Rishabh, this is what we've made extremely clear to the Pakistani side through the Pakistani DGMO. No firing along the LOC, no infiltration, no movement of drones, and certainly no targeting our civilians.
Well, Swati, while we are still awaiting the official release from Indian Army about the DGMO level talks with Pakistan, what sources have told us, and this is top sources in Indian Army telling us that during the conversation, both sides took forward the discussion that began on 10th of May. And what was the discussion? Where Pakistan pleaded that what was that discussion? Discussion was that Pakistan pleaded that India should stop firing and military action, be it sea, air or on ground. It was agreed upon, it was arrived on an understanding that there will be stopping of firing along IB and LOC, and there will be no aerial attacks as well. But within few hours, we saw how that understanding was breached. Yesterday, Indian DGMO gave an earful to his counterpart in Islamabad and warned him about the consequences. Today also, in the DGMO call, what we are given to understand that India has categorically told Pakistan that if the understanding is breached, the consequences would be rather difficult consequences. And in a stern warning, India has told Pakistan, enough, stop it. No firing, no intrusion, no to terrorism. If anything happens, we will respond. And as the sources have told us, the word was difficult consequences.
Absolutely, and that has been our stand from day one. I want to bring in Lieutenant General KJ Singh, former Western Army commander. After the Pahalgam attack as well, the response was measured. The Prime Minister very specifically set the target on the terrorists and the entire terror nexus. The system that produces, breeds and provides funding to these terror networks. That's what the Prime Minister identified and gave a target to our armed forces. Our armed forces maintained that we are not looking for escalation. These are non-escalatory measures, but if required, we will hit back. And after Operation Sindoor, of course, it's ongoing, but after the ceasefire as well, our stand remains the same. That if you go for another misadventure, we will punish you.
Swati, Jai Hind. See, the thing is, this time, India has delivered a very strong message. Fight against terrorism is a long-drawn process. So after Uri, we did surgical raids. Then after Pulwama, there was Balakot. And what happened in that is that attacks which used to take place in the hinterland, Parliament was attacked, Akshardham was attacked, Mumbai was attacked, all and sundry were being attacked. That stopped. So we've had some kind of a reprieve on that front. Now, we have upped the ante. We have conveyed to Pakistan very clearly that there will be certainty of response. That you do something and we will hit back. And so this is a deterrence which is again being rebuilt. The second thing is, we have also in this said that we do not find this masquerading. You are calling this as Markaz-e-Taiba, Markaz-e-Subhanallah, Maimuna Joya, all these headquarters. They also do charity, incidentally, Jamaat-ud-Dawa and all such damn things. So this seamless transition, and yet taking the cover that this is just a tanzim. So we have got to their headquarters. It would have given shivers. But Swati, one more thing I want to say.
Absolutely.
When the PM speaks, he is going to firstly address the angst of all Indians. Those terrorists told those poor ladies, go and tell your Prime Minister Modi. So he is going to reply to those people that what has been done, that your headquarters and all have gone. He's also, he switched to English, if you saw. Why did he switch to English? That he wanted to convey to international opinion that for too long you have been mollycoddling these people. You have been just ignoring them. You've been doing good terrorism, bad terrorism, your terrorism, my terrorism. It's time to put a stop to it.
Right.
I hope, and I know our PM, he's a great communicator. He will definitely convey this to the international.
Absolutely.
They are eager to listen to it, and we also are eager to listen to it.
Right. Now, I also want to begin Captain Alok Bansal. Captain Alok Bansal, it has been made clear to Pakistan that this is a ceasefire understanding, and one misstep and we are ready with our full might. Why I say misstep is because Pakistan has also been told, stop infiltration. You have to monitor and check that as well. All the onus, whether it's firing, whether it's targeting civilians, whether it's infiltration along the border, has been put on Pakistan. And one misadventure or misstep, then we will retaliate. Also, Captain Alok Bansal, but most importantly, I want to take your reaction on the narrative that is being peddled by Pakistan, on the propaganda machinery that is churning out fake news against India.
See, firstly, yesterday's press conference by the DGMO and his colleagues, and followed by today's thing, it is very clearly articulated what we have done and what has been the proof of that. What was important was that they did not, because throughout this conflict, the media went ballistic. And so many, and when I say media, I don't mean Indian media, but I mean both medias. Actually, Indian and Pakistani media went ballistic actually. They invented stories, they attacked. On our side, we were listening that Karachi and Ormara have been attacked. From Pakistani media was attacking Bangalore port. Now imagine how mythical or how falsified the narrative was. They reported destroying brigade headquarters, airports, whereas none of that happened. So the first important facet was that the DGMOs gave a briefing which was completely based on facts. They did not utter a single thing. And in fact, they supported every statement of theirs with proper proofs. They gave and showed what was the status of a particular target before the attack and after the attack. So that there can be no space for an iota of doubt. And that was very, very significant, because that not only showed that what we were claiming had already been achieved, but also showed the efficacy of weapon systems, many of which were indigenous or developed in India. Like most of the strikes on Pakistani airfields were carried out by BrahMos, an Indian missile system which has been developed in collaboration with Russia. So its efficacy was established. Similarly, we also told them what was done, and they also tried to bring to the public's notice as to why the ceasefire was brought, because they said our objective was destroying terrorist infrastructure, which we did it. Since Pakistan escalated it by attacking our military targets, we had to retaliate. And while retaliating also, we ensured that our retaliation did not lead to collateral damage. It was precise and it targeted Pakistan's military targets. And it was very clearly visible, because we saw that from hundreds of kilometers away, the runways in various airfields were destroyed. The radars were attacked.
But Captain Alok Bansal, as the dust settles, we are given to understand, and this is based on the info that was shared during the press briefing, that Malir Cant in Karachi, the air defense site in Pakistan, was hit. This is India's engagement activity, and Malir Cant, which I believe is 35 kilometers from Karachi, was hit by our forces. So maybe, yes, there was either lack of communication or oversharing of information, exaggeration that perhaps happened, but there was timely information coming in from our forces. And I want to go across to Ms. Tokekar on that, which is extremely important. The forces directly speaking to the people, telling them that this is how we are engaging. Wing Commander Tokekar, today as well in the briefing, there were images, satellite images shared, some videos shared of how the site looked before India struck it and the damage that we were able to cause. Vis-a-vis, or contrast that or juxtapose that with how all of our air defense systems are working, everything is operational. So that also counters the propaganda from the Pakistani side of the kind of damage that they've been able to inflict, which is absolute fake news.
Absolutely. From day one, the first day when the press conference was held, we have been showing photographs. We have been telling the exact how much was the damage, how it was carried out, what were the weapons used, which puts a full stop to all the fake news that has been floating in the media against India and our forces, and were trying to discourage our people, trying to spread fear amongst civilians. So, and in fact, on the yesterday and today's brief, if you look at that, there were such clear instructions, there was such clear brief that was carried out. There was no, absolutely, they left no crumbs. There was nothing that could have been left to imagination. How much damage, which radar, where exactly on the runway craters are created because of our strike, everything was there. So when we look at generally in the media, especially on all these handles like X, Instagram, as a civilian, this might actually instill fear in civilians. But with these briefing, especially people in uniform sitting for a press conference and telling this to our people, talks a huge amount of authenticity
Absolutely.
to that information.
Absolutely. Authenticity. There were no empty threats that were being issued. We spoke about India's stand, which is non-escalatory, but at the same time, we will retaliate if you resort to misadventure. Captain Tyagi, and I think, just to sum up what we've been discussing, I think what was said by Air Marshal Bharti, Yachna nahi ab ran hoga. What are your views on that?
Zero tolerance policy to terrorism, and we are in a state of war. If you try any misadventure next time, anything that harms interest of our country will be treated as act of war. So clear, the entire, when the day started and we had the three senior officers, the DGMO, DGNO and DGAO, giving us the clear briefing. See, in Army we have a term, and pardon me because very senior Army officers are sitting here on this panel and I am very a young officer that way. But there's something called fog of war, where information doesn't come very clearly. And people are left to create perception in their own minds, and that is what creates misinformation, panic and rumors. Indian armed forces have been carrying out daily briefings, morning, evening on few days also. And since last 2 days, when we see that senior officers are sitting there and giving us a clear overview as to what all has been done, it gives, as a citizen, as a common citizen who doesn't know anything about Army, it gives a very clear picture about what all we have done and what all damages have been inflicted on us. And so you see, when Pakistan speaks about their, what damages they have done, actually they have the claim to fame of their heavy artillery guns that have been pounding on our LOCs and creating havoc to a level to our civilian population. India, on the other hand, is telling again and again, we are hitting precisely. Precision bombs are being used. That means the building that has been recorded as the target, where the coordinates have been logged, only that building will be hurt. No civilian injury has been done. And therefore, this creates the faith in the minds of the citizens that Indian army is not an army that can be taken lightly. Whereas Pakistan is firing every which way. Only heavy artillery is making damages because that is not covered with our RT, with our air defense systems. And our air defense systems, most of them are indigenously produced. We are not dependent on Turkeys of the world or
Most
the China's
important. I
of the
think that was
world.
the biggest message that also came to fore about Atmanirbhar Bharat. I had to slip into a very short break, but just for a couple of seconds, Mrs. Sajjanar, I want you to come in. And we know, at the moment that this is all speculation of what the Prime Minister could say. We don't know what he's going to say. But do you think the address today would be to the people of the country or the world at large?
I think both. It will be to both people, and particularly as far as the country is concerned, it will be an inspiring address. Whenever the Prime Minister speaks, he's always very inspiring. He always motivates.
Right.
He will be giving out the information that is, already available, but he has his own way, because this what DGMO and Air Force and Navy, what they told us, this was in clinical security strategic terms. What the Prime Minister is going to do is he's going to talk, as a one-to-one person, so that, the message gets across as to how well our defense forces have performed.
Absolutely.
And the message will also be to the world that, India has established a new normal.
Yes.
India has established that now terrorism is not going to be tolerated. And last point, that India's fight is against terror. So don't equate the perpetrator of terror and the victim of terror, because that is what many of these whatever is happening globally and whatever comments are coming, that is seems to be done. So
Absolutely.
I think his message will be clear.
And yes, we're getting all these information to the press briefings, but the people gave their mandate to Prime Minister, and that is what they want to hear from him today. They want to hear about the Prime Minister's commitment, about how this nation stood as one against terrorism. And that's the reason why everybody, of course, is waiting to hear from the PM. A quick break. Stay on with us. That's my request to our guests. Please stay on with us. I'm slipping into a very short break. We'll continue our discussion.